Sir, can we start with the session? Govind sir, can we start with the session?
Yes, yes. So,
Thank you.
may I audible to all?
Yes, sir. We are audible to all. Just give me 2 minutes for the introduction and then we can go ahead with
Okay.
the session. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning and a very warm welcome to you all on day 6, first session. The first session is basically on research paper writing, and for dealing with the session, we have Dr. Govind Gupta with us, who is currently working as an assistant professor in Department of Information Technology, National Institute of Technology, Raipur. Dr. Gupta received his PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee in 2014. He has made practical and theoretical contribution in big data processing and analytics, WSN, IoT, and cybersecurity domain, and his research has a big impact on big data analytics, WSN, IoT, information and network security against cyber attacks. He has authored or co-authored over 70 publications and high-ranked journals and conferences. Some of his research findings are published in top-cited journals such as IEEE Transactions on Industrial Informatics, TII, IEEE Transactions on Network Science and Engineering, IEEE Transactions on Intelligent Transportation System, IEEE IOTJ, and IEEE Micro. He is an active reviewer of various journals such as IEEE Internet of Things, IEEE Sensor Journals, IEEE Transaction on Green Communication, Elsevier, Computer Network, Ad Hoc Network, Computer Communications, Springer Wireless Networks, etc. His current research interests include Internet of Things, IoT security, software defined in networking, network security, big data analytics, blockchain-based application development of IoT, and enterprise blockchain. He is a professional member of IEEE and ACN. So we are very pleased to have you here today to conduct this session, and I hope each and every participant present over here will have a good impact and good knowledge about this particular topic and how to go about this. Over to you, sir.
Okay.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Good morning, Dr. Govind ji. Welcome, sir. Welcome on behalf of Technical University Bhilai.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So, okay. So, is PPT visible to all?
Yes, sir.
So, the topic for the today's presentation is the research paper writing. And research paper writing is one of the most important way of disseminating the research work done by the research scholar or the scientist. And the main purpose of disseminating the research paper is to allow the other researcher to study your research work, and if they wants to reproduce or rebuild your model, they can able to do it easily. Okay, so that is the sole purpose. So you have to write the research paper in a such a way other researcher, after reading your research paper, can understand your idea, and if they want to produce your idea in the form of some product, okay, or some experiment, then he or she can able to re-engineer it. Okay, so in the 19th century, in the mid 19th century, in the scientific research, a country who is going to give some idea, the researcher going to give some idea, other researcher try to reproduce it. Okay, uh, and the same approach is going on from that, and the sole purpose is to how to write the article in an unambiguous manner so that all can understand the idea floated by the authors in the same way the author is thinking. Okay, and also it gives the horizon to other researchers to follow the path and try to improve the idea. Okay, So the other purpose is also the author also wants the other author to study their approach and also try to enhance the existing approaches so that we can get some saturated idea or tested idea, and that can be used by the society. So in this talk, I'll discuss some approach of writing the scientific articles for the conference as well as journal. And since scientific writing is totally dependent on the area also. So my background is the computer science and engineering. So my whole example I'll discuss is based on the computer science. Okay, and I'll also discuss the different essential part of the scientific writing and the different component. What is the standard approach researchers would adopt during writing these essential component? Okay, so some basic rules we have to follow. So what is the scientific writing? So as it is written, the purpose of scientific writing is to communicate new scientific finding. So if it's just like, suppose if just like in the COVID-19, if a new problem arises, different researchers are going to solve or find the vaccine in their own way. Different methods are floated. They just tested in their research labs, write the article, send to the journals, find out the different comments. Okay, so if you see in the 2020, a lot of approaches floated by the researcher, but among all approaches, a few approaches is adopted in the form of a product. Okay, so if you go to the literature, okay, a numerous type of way is floated by the scientist. So the purpose is to, if you have any idea of solving some problem, okay, then you have to write it, disseminate that information in the form of either conference or journal, okay, and also look for the positive and negative comments about your idea. Okay, so during the writing we have to write in a very clear, simple and well ordered manner, because your whole idea is going in the form of writing. Okay, you are not physically present with the readers, okay, and you are not going to explain each point. So you have to keep in the mind a simple beginner research scholar, if they try to understand your approach, can able to do it. Okay, so it should not be used a very complex uh, 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 language format, or so approach is to, you have to use as simple as possible. And also you have to write the research paper in a structured manner, not in unstructured. So what happen if you are going to initially write the paper, if you don't know the structure? So there are many, since we are reviewing the many research paper, and the blunder done by the research scholar is they are not following some standard approach, okay, some standard structure, because the purpose of research paper is to represent your idea in a structured manner. Okay, so we have to use some proper communication language, just like suppose if you are writing your research paper in the English, so you have to use those words that are unambiguous. Their meaning is always same, okay, whatever the generation they are going to read your paper. Okay, so it is having some same sense if some researcher is going to study your literature after 10 years. Okay, so it must use some proper English which gives the sense in the few shortest words. Other is you have to discuss first the problem, okay, and your approach, okay. So scientific, in other word, you can say scientific writing is a scientific experiment, and a whole scientific experiment is not completed until if you are not able to communicate your research, your finding in the form of research paper, and if it is not published yet, okay. So if the written material, yeah, written article is published, then we say, okay, the scientific experiment is completed, because it is, if it is published, it means it is gone through a peer reviewed by the other researcher, and the other researcher has given the positive feedback about the article, and also approval of publishing, okay. Once they approved for the publication, then we say the scientific outcome is complete, okay. So approach is, if you have any idea, okay, don't wait, just write, send to a good journal, okay. Take the feedback of the researcher in a positive way. If there is a positive feedback, okay. If there is a negative feedback, try to understand the questions raised by the researcher, try to improve their questions, try to improve your findings, your observation according to their opinion, okay, and then again try to communicate to the journal. Okay. Sometimes what happen, there is a trade-off between the different researchers. Some researcher is giving the positive feedback, someone is giving the negative feedback. Then you have to uh, neutrally check the questions. Sometimes what happen, uh, uh, maybe your finding is correct, but they may wrong. Okay, so the editor gives the enough opportunity to refute and give the response to the reviewers. If you are if you are not agree the comments provided by the reviewers, then you can give, okay, your response, okay, with facts and figure. So in the scientific writing and the response, the facts and figure play a very important role. Okay, whatever the claim you are going to made in your research paper, it should be written with the facts and figure. Okay, you are not going to give just an abstract idea. The abstract idea must be supported by facts and figure. If there is a facts and figure which supporting your claim of hypothesis, then everyone welcome it. Okay. So scientific paper is written and published report describing the original research results. So sometimes since what I assume ki you are all maybe a postgraduate students, maybe a PhD students, okay, maybe some new faculty, they are just trying to initiate the research. So that's why I will start the talk with some basics. So there are various models adopted by the researcher for doing the research. Okay, so there is a one model. First, suppose you have some idea. Now, how idea will come? Idea will come through the reading the literature. Okay, so suppose you are first selecting the a particular broad area. For example, in a computer science, suppose you are selecting the blockchain. Okay. Now, in that area, suppose you have some background of how to use the blockchain. So once you are going to select the area, you should have some background. Sometimes what happens, the postgraduate students and the new faculty, if they don't know the background, but just listening the topics, okay, they just jump. Okay, so my advice is first go to the background, because if basic is strong, then you can make a building. So first you understand the basics of the concept, okay, of that area, and then for that area just go through the literature. And in literature, you will find different issues of that area. Okay. So in an analogy, if I say, in a particular area, all the problems can be represented by a hierarchy. You can say a tree. A mango tree which is having a low-rise mango and high-rise mango. So low-rise mango represent a, a easy task, easy problem solving task. Okay. And there are some difficult problem of that area that is represented by the high-rise mango. Okay. So what we do, if you are going to pick the mango, first you are taking the easy task. Okay. The task which are in your approachable distance. Okay. So go to the literature. Now, how to search the literature? Okay, that is again a task. So I'm going to, since this task is not a theoretical one, I'm going to use some tools we should adopt. So in the browser, uh, in the browser, I'm going to use the open source tool. Okay, so how many of you use the Google Scholar? Yes. Have you used Google Scholar? The problem with the online teaching is there is only one-way communication. Yes. So I don't want this task is a boring task like I'm speaking 1.5 hours. Okay. And someone are listening. If there is a two-way task, two-way talk, then it's good for me also. So for the beginner, okay, if you want to do the research, first step is the select the topic, a broad area, and in that broad area you have to look for the different problems. Okay, so how you understand the problem? First go through the literature. Okay, so the starting point is first read the any review paper. So Google Scholar is the open source search engine for searching the scientific article. So let's assume, suppose i'm uh, I'm going to just like, okay, suppose my broad area is the malware detection. Okay, now again, malware may be for the Windows operating system, maybe Android, okay, maybe some other purpose they can, author of the malware can design. So our approach is how to detect the malware. Okay, so simply in the keywords. So during the identification of broad area, you have to identify the some keywords. Okay, so according to the keywords, first suppose I have explore. Now the starting point is first you have to learn some review paper. Okay, here I assume you don't know anything about that topic. Okay, so first you, okay, go through this. Now in Google Scholar you can also classify the literature according to the years, like since 2022 all the paper you can get. Now maybe now here in the Google Scholar gives you the all type of articles, journal articles as well as the conference articles. Okay, so just go to browse it through this. Okay, and then find out some review paper. Okay, now there is a one other some specific journal, they are published only the review articles like the IEEE communication and survey journals. Okay, so if you are engineering students, then it's good for you to follow this IEEE transaction on uh, uh, survey and tutorials communication survey and tutorial. Okay. Now, this journal is totally dedicated for the publishing the survey paper. Okay, and they have published a very authentic articles. Okay, with the some future works and discussion. So, for example, I am here taking R. Okay, so okay, I am taking this one. Suppose blockchain. Okay. So from the survey paper, you will after learning the survey paper, yeah, reading the survey paper, first thing you learn is the background of that problem. Okay, and then you will get uh, some future challenges of that area. Okay, because you initially you don't know what are the future problem statement. Okay, the problem statement which are currently very popular. Okay, and which need to be solved. Once if you know the problem, okay, issues, then go ahead. Okay, you go ahead for your looking for the problems, understanding the just thinking the idea you can apply for solving that problems. Okay, it is taking some time. Okay, so once you get the idea, and how you get the idea, if you understand the problem. Okay, if you first understand the problem, okay, then you can look for the approach for solving that problem. Okay, so once you understand the whole system, then what are the issues, your problem statement you need to solve, and for solving those problem, you are generating your own idea. Okay, your own approach. So the first model say, if you have any idea, okay, start doing some experiment. Okay, do the research, means you are going to implement your idea. Okay, analyze your idea, generate some results, generate your result graph. Okay, represent in a different table graph. Okay, or different scientific tools. Okay, and then start writing the paper. Okay, this is the one model. Okay, in between if I say, okay, it is open. Now if you go to the survey paper, the survey papers give you all latest uh, summary of articles, okay, which you need to reread. Okay, so just like here the author has included research paper starting from 2019 to 21. Now you will get the motivation, okay, the reason why this research is required. Okay, what are the motivation of doing this work. Okay, now you go to, now this survey paper also gives you the background knowledge. Okay, so now this is the related to the blockchain application in the vehicular ad hoc network. So first they discuss what is the vehicular ad hoc network. Okay, let me increase it. Then what is the blockchain technology in a brief. Okay, so different component of that technology, types of blockchain and all that. Okay, similarly the what are the different application of those area. Now the challenges. Okay, now here you will get a brief background of that area. Okay, now after reading the survey, okay, sometimes what happen, if it is not okay for you, change the area and study the survey. Okay, so survey paper reading the survey paper is the starting point of doing the research. Okay, now the survey paper is also gives you the emerging challenges. Okay, like in the last, they have discussed some future work. Okay. So you can say this is a summary of some research paper, okay, done by the other researchers. Now you see the last section, they have written, okay, major challenges, lesson learned, and future research direction. And this gives you the clue of selecting the problem. Now the problem may be a low rise problem or high rise problem. Low rise mango, just like the rise mango, means a problem which can easily be solvable. Okay, and the difficult problem is high rise mango. Okay, so in this future direction, different challenges the researcher has discussed, and also they have given or some maybe some paper has already discussed some partial solutions. So a reference you also get. Okay, so just like scalability issues, privacy issues, okay, quantum computing attacks, okay, these are the challenge. If that author has observed, they have written it, and also they have written given the references, okay, of existing literature. Okay, existing some literature like here 184, 185, 186, and 187, and 189. Around 5 to 6 research paper has already discussed this quantum computing attack problem. Okay, so from the literature survey you will get uh, how to identify the problem. Once you identify the problem, then you can look for its solution. Means you can generate your idea. Now the idea can be verified. So before going to design your own idea, first you have to learn the existing idea for solving that problem. Okay, and how you will get? You will get those existing idea by the literature survey. Okay, so literature survey is very important points of starting the research. Okay, now this is the one approach. Other approach is adopted by the researcher is first they generate the idea and then start writing it. Okay, and then perform the experiment and all that. So basically, both these two models are very popular. Okay, and it totally dependent on your methods. Okay, so for example, suppose you are you are a management students, and your research is based on the data collections, okay, and observations. Okay, so for example, suppose if you want to survey, okay, how many how many people are affected, okay, in this COVID of different age or different cost or different income. Okay, so in that category what happened, you are just identifying some problem statement. Okay, I want to get some statistics about how many people are affected, okay, during this last 2 years. Okay, so you are just formulating some idea of data collection. So here the whole survey is totally dependent on the information you get from the participant object, okay, the citizens, okay, of the area selected, okay, the samples you are going to select and observe. So in that case, second model is important. Okay, in that case, what happened? You are simply first prepare the different queries, okay, different attributes you identify, okay, and then in an unambiguous manner you just structured it. Once you structure, and then that in a structured way you are going to go to the ground and collect the data, okay, and then you analyze it. Okay, so data analytics and collection type of research, they have adopted the model too. But if you are a scientist, you are doing a course scientific uh, uh, research, then you can adopt the model one. Okay, because that scientific finding is must be supported by the facts and figure and its proof, and that only be supported by the experiment. Okay, once experiment uh, approved your hypothesis, then you are going to write the paper. Okay, so that's why there are a number of ways the researcher uh, doing in their research in the lab. Okay, and after 5 to 6 times of attempts, then they analyze, okay, the 11th type of idea approach can give the better result, and then they going to float it, okay, in the form of writing paper. So so uh, both approaches are better. Okay, both approaches gives us a clear and focused way of doing the research, and totally depend upon the your area of research. Okay, so identifying your key idea is main uh, starting point of doing the research. Okay, and after that you uh, uh, we are going to uh, convey our findings, okay, our experiment results, okay, so that other researcher can reuse it. Okay, that is very much important. What happens sometimes, uh, beginners researcher just they try to uh, write in an unstructured way, okay, and their sole motto is simply किसी तरह पेपर हो जाए. Okay, you know, nowadays paper are going to be online. Okay, and your value of your research paper is totally dependent on the citation. Okay, the quality of citations means how many other researchers are going to read your paper, and they are going to include in his own work. Okay, so if you are writing your paper in a very unambiguous manner, then only they can understand. Okay, and they can also re-engineer it. Okay, they can compare their idea with your idea. Okay, and can give the or enhance the research to the next level. Okay, that is the main goal of writing. So the sole motto of writing is to telling the story. Okay, so and the storytelling is having a some sequence, like first you have to define, okay, and properly explain the problem statement. Okay, the first step in the writing. Okay, first you have to define and explain problem statement. Okay, now in the writing you have to also give the some motivations, okay, why this problem is important. Okay, so it is an interesting problem, you have to write. Okay, because you have to attract the readers. Okay, you have to force the reader to read your paper. Okay, so it's your job to 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 attract the readers by writing something why this problem is important. Okay, why this problem need to be take the attention from the researcher. Okay, now again you have to write why this problem is not solved yet. Yeah, it is solved by some researcher, but may have some, it has some limitation. Okay, so it is an unsolved problem, that is also you have to emphasize during the writing. Okay, now after writing and defining the your problem statement clearly, then why it is interesting problem, then why it is unsolved problem, then you are going to write your own idea. Okay, now look, this is the interesting problem, this is the problem, this is the why interesting problem, and this is not yet solved by the researcher. Means maybe it's solved by the researcher, but their approach may have some drawback. Okay, you can write, and then you have to claim, okay, here is my idea for solving the same problem. Okay. Now, those idea uh, you have to supported by the some facts and figure you have obtained through the experiment. So this is my idea, how my idea works. It's your detail of your idea in by using the some algorithm, flow chart, figures, block diagram, flow diagram. Okay, you have to include, and also the supporting data. Okay, you have. Then in the last here, how my idea is performing better compared to the existing idea, means performance analysis. Okay, so your writing research article must have these sequences. Okay, okay, so it is a kind of information flow, and information should be flow in this way only. Okay, not in a zigzag. Keep first you have discussed your own idea, then you are going to discuss why this problem is important. Okay, because everyone is looking for first, they just try to understand what is the problem. Is problem is worthless or worthful? Okay, if it was then it is have some scientific uh, uh, requirement or not. Okay, because you are going to waste a lot of time and energy in solving that problem. Okay, now this is the uh, so is there any query from the audience? Shall I proceed? Yes.
You are visible.
Yes. Is there any query?
No, sir.
Okay. You can interrupt me. If you have any query, then in between you can interrupt. Okay, there is no problem.
Okay, sir.
Now, this is the generic structure of a research paper if you are going to write in engineering problem. Okay. So, in a research paper, first you have to write the title. Okay, then abstract, introduction, then related work, okay, some comparative analysis of literature survey, then background of system model, then your proposed method, scheme or framework you are going to discuss. This is the your idea. Okay, and then result analysis and discussion, conclusion and reference. So one by one, I'm going to discuss what are the standard approach we should adopt for writing each component of research paper. So first is the title. So how to prepare the title? So the main purpose of writing the title is to provide a one-line summary of your work. So why you are writing? You are writing the paper for others. Okay, and the sole purpose is to disseminate your research findings, okay, to other researchers. Okay, now other researchers are going to read your article. First they read your title. Okay, now the title should be written in a very precise and clear manner so that it gives the idea, okay, what story is written in the paper. Okay, so it should be precise and to the point. Now sometimes what happen, uh, there is no idea came from the titles, okay, and it are not able to attract the uh, neither the editors nor the uh, uh, any readers. So selection of the title is very important. You know, when you are going to communicate your research paper to any journals, okay, the editor first check the title, because you know the title, abstract and keyword, these are used for searching the articles. Okay, these are generally used by the some research. So in your title there must be the keyword. Okay, the keyword of the problem statement, keyword of the solutions tools you are going to use, okay, and the keywords of the system. Okay, these are the must be in your title. Okay, so it's very important to use the in a very clear manner. Okay, sometimes what happen, a researcher are totally focused on doing their research, but they not able to give enough attention in writing the title, abstract, and key. So it's very important. Now, what are the basics rule of writing the title? The first is the title should be simple, precise, and catchy. Okay, it must attract the readers. Okay, you have to attract the reader so that reader for going to start the reading the abstract next phase. Okay, so the main function of title is to provide a concise summary of research. Okay, other is one should use the active word in writing the title. Okay, not the passive word. Okay, and also avoid complicated noun based phrases. Okay, it must be a simple way. Okay, other is the title generally should not exceed the 150 characters, or you can say 12 to 16 words. There is some limitation. Every journal has some limitation of length of title. Okay. Now the next rule is the title should contains pertinent descriptive word. Okay. So that's why I'm saying you have to use the keyword. So keyword is always descriptive. Okay. So in the title, the descriptive words should be included. Okay. Now it should accurately reflect the nature and focus of a study. Means after reading the title, any reader can understand what story are going to discuss in that paper. Okay, so there is some rough guideline of writing the title. It should have a research questions, your problem, then research design, the approach you are going to adopt for solving the problem. Okay, the system model. Okay, the problem related to which broad area. Okay, and if possible, if you include the geographical area of study or the system related to some applications. Okay, so for example, and third one is the avoid abbreviation and numerical parameter in the title. Okay, so sometimes what happen, in order to suppress the title length, researcher are going to give the abbreviation. In literature, it is observed that many researchers are giving the abbreviation, but if it is required to give the abbreviation in the title, okay, in order to reduce the length of title. So what you have to do, you have to give the uh, 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 description of the abbreviation immediately in the abstract, because abstract and title is generally displayed together, okay, in the pages. So you have to describe in the abstract. Okay, but if it is avoidable, then you should avoid the abbreviation or numerical parameter in the title. For example, here, so there is an article of published in the engineering application of artificial intelligence journal, and you see the, I'm going to just read the title, the integrated clustering and routing protocol. Okay, so this is there is some issues or some rules, CI schemes discussed by this paper, and that is the integrated clustering and routing. Okay. Now this issues related to what? For wireless sensor network. So these are the keywords. Okay, it itself describe. Okay, there is no need to describe. Okay, what is a wireless sensor network? Now, using what method? Okay, the approach you are going to adopt for solving the problem. Okay, so the using cuckoo and harmony search based meta heuristics technique. So generally in the title, you have to include the research statement. Okay, then for what area that research statement related, and your research solution, your solution approach. These three must be in the title. Okay. So the next example, like here. Now, the sometimes what happened, the researcher has also included the some short form of their approach, like here. Like here, first they have written TP2SF. Okay. And TP2SF is the short form of the proposed idea. Okay. And what is it means? It means the trustworthy privacy preservation. Now, in order to, since PP are two times, so that's why they have written the numeric value 2 and secure framework. So the both approach is correct for writing the title. Okay. Now you see here, in this researcher has focused on the problem for solving the problem, trustworthy privacy preservation, okay, secure framework. Okay. Now, for what purpose? For sustainable smart cities. Okay. Now, with help of what? So this problem is solved by the leveraging the blockchain and machine learning tools. Okay. So your title must have the research questions. That research question is related to for what area, okay, and then it is solved by the which approach. These must be in the title. Okay. And the title have some keywords. You see here the keywords smart cities. Okay. So it attract the audience. Okay, this paper is related to the smart city. Okay, blockchain and machine learning. These are the keywords. Okay. Trustworthy, privacy preservation. Okay. So you have to include, you have to use the words that are descriptive. Okay. Now the next is the how to write the abstract. So after writing the title, the next very important aspect of the research article is the abstract. So abstract gives the a clear picture what story or what type of content you are going to discuss in the paper. Okay. So generally the reader first read the title, and after reading the abstract, okay, he or she can decide, okay, मुझे next पूरा पेपर पढ़ना है नहीं पढ़ना. Okay. So abstract should be written such that you force the reader to read the whole paper. Once reader read the whole paper, then he or she can try to re-engineer it or try to enhance your idea. Okay. Because whole sole purpose of publishing the research work to disseminate the information, to enhance your idea by the other researchers. Okay. That's why we can get a better solution. So it provides an overview of work to the reader and play an important roles in increasing the visibility of your articles. Okay, that is very important. And 90% of research article are rejected by the publishers by the poor abstract writing. The editor, if you are writing a poor abstract, okay, immediately before going to the reviews, they just reject it. Okay, because abstract play a very important role. Okay, now there is a limitation of writing the abstract. It should be written in a single paragraph. Okay, sometimes what happens, there are some journals, they are giving you the freedom to the researcher. They can allow the one page in a four life science journals, but generally in a single paragraph or in a 250 words or 300 words, you have to precisely discuss the whole research article. Okay. Now, what are the major component of abstract? The major component of abstract is the four one. First, you have to discuss motivation. Means why the problem statement is important. Okay, why problem statement is useful. Okay, why it need to be solved. Okay, so motivation of the research work you have to discuss in 1 or 2 lines. Okay, maximum 2 lines. Okay, then next you have to describe the problem. Okay, what problem in this paper the researcher has solved. Okay, now the next you have to discuss in 2 or 3 lines the approaches used by the researcher for solving the problem statement. Okay, and then next you have to discuss some results, some facts and figure for claiming your solutions approach. Okay, means what is your observation during the experiment. Okay, how your approach is better than the existing approach. Okay, so some results part you have to discuss, means after observation how some quantitative analysis if you have done, then you have to include in your result. Okay, so these are the approach we have to adopt in writing the abstract. Okay, so abstract should state the principal objective and scope of investigation. It should describe the method used by the researcher for solving the problem. It must summarize the results, and also it states the principal conclusion. What is the observation? Okay. Now, sometimes what happens, there are 2 types of approach of writing the abstract: unstructured layout and structured layout. So some journals has follow unstructured layout, means you need not to use the keywords for writing. Some journals has its own structured layout, and in that layout you have to write the abstract. Like here in the right side, if you see, first objective keywords you have to use, and you have to write what is the objective of research paper. Okay, the problems. Okay, and then method you have used for solving. Okay, so here in the problem statement you have to write objective, and then result you have obtained you have to write, and then conclusion in a 1 or 2. Okay, but generally some journals, due to the limitation of the length of articles, mostly they follow the unstructured layout for writing the abstract in a 1 paragraph. Okay, now one should ask when we have to write the abstract. So abstract should be written at the end of writing. Okay, you should not start writing first abstract. Okay, so there is a flow diagram is given, and this approach is called the reverse outlining process. Okay, for writing the effective abstract. Okay, so what you do, first you have to write your own idea. Okay, describe by using the algorithm, flow chart, and so on, and then do the result analysis. Okay, then literature survey, and then after that you have to write the abstract, conclusion, and introduction. Okay, and you have to reread and re-enhance it. For example, here first you read the manuscript, okay, of your draft, and then write a rough idea of abstract. Okay, and then perform a result analysis and all that. Okay, background, literature survey, and all that. Okay, then again revise and refine the abstract. Okay, then again look for some changes if they require, and it is an iterative process. Okay, so if access the abstract for its representativeness, if it is incomplete, okay, so no, if it is incomplete, if they have defined, then revise it. Okay, then get the abstract read by an independent person. So sometimes what happens, if you have written your abstract, give your supervisor, okay, to read it. Okay. Now, supervisor after reading, so experienced researchers can give you the idea of enhancing the abstract. So one supervisor enhance, okay, again go through and revise it, okay, and then finalize. Okay. So after analyzing your result analysis, then in the last you have to write the abstract. Okay. So for example, in this paper, I'm going to explain the approaches we used in writing the abstract. So the approach is simple, this one. First, we have to write the motivation, then problem statement, then approach, your proposed approach, and then result. So I'm simply reading the paper like here. So this paper is for solving the cluster and routing problems for the wireless sensor. Now you just see. First, we have to write the motivation. So it is written, uniform energy consumption and its optimization is a major concern for designing the clustering and routing protocol for large-scale wireless sensor network. So the first statement gives you the motivation, why you are doing the why you are going to solve this problem. Okay. So why? Because the uniform energy consumption is a challenge. Okay. Now, next, again, most of the existing nature inspired, since we have also used the nature inspired technique like cuckoo and harmony search based. Now, you have to discuss what are the limitation of existing literature. So most of the existing nature inspired computing based solutions for the cluster based routing problem for wireless sensor networks suffer from unbalanced energy consumption issues. Okay. So since they suffer from the unbalanced energy consumption issue, and in this paper, we are focused on the uniform energy consumption. Okay. So again, you have to write why this unbalanced energy consumption happened. Okay. So your plan, your limitations should be written with facts and figure. So it is written, this is due to the fact that nodes near to the sink are overloaded in the terms of traffic load. Okay. So your limitation is also supported by some logic. Due to this reason, unbalanced energy consumption problem arises. And this paper focus on the uniform energy consumption. Okay. So in first 2 or 3 lines, it is clear. Okay, what is the problem state? Now in this research work, problem of energy balance, node clustering and routing between the cluster and sink are considered. Okay, so problem statement they first discussed, and this paper proposed an improved cuckoo search based energy balance node clustering problem, which uses a novel objective function. Now, the idea of you are going to write, okay, this approach you are going to use. Okay, now in that idea, suppose you are going to derive a new mathematical expression, new some model. So you have to include, like here they have written objective functions, they have used novel, okay, for informed distribution of cluster. In addition, now some other contribution is also there. In addition, an improved harmony search based routing protocol is proposed for routing the data between the cluster and sinks. Okay. Now your proposed idea is discussed in 2 or 3 lines. Now the next is you have to compare your idea. What is the performance of your idea with the existing idea? Okay, how you are analyzed. So the proposed cuckoo harmony search, the performance of the proposed integrated clustering and routing protocol is evaluated using the average energy consumptions, okay, number of alive nodes, how you are performing the result analysis you have written. Then proposed cuckoo harmony search based integrated clusterings and routing protocols. So significant improvement over the state of art protocols. Now, since there is a limitation of writing the abstract, you have to write the abstract in a very precise manner. And since in this paper, the proposed idea is compared with the 3 to 4 existing technique. If I'm going to write the name of existing technique, then it is going to expand. Okay. So simply, I'm just written a precise descriptive word. What are the descriptive state of art protocols? Okay. And then in the introduction, I'll discuss a full form, okay, full description of the state of arts protocol used for comparing the proposed idea. Okay, so these can be learned after reading the literatures. Okay. Now, similarly, suppose a second example I'm going to discuss, like this title, if you see, like an ensemble learning and fog cloud architecture driven cyber attack detection framework for IoT. So the problem is the how to detect the cyber attack. The approach adopted is the ensemble learning and fog cloud architecture. And for what? What is the population? What is the system? That is the IOMT network. Okay. Now again, if you see, sometimes what happen, we also give the numerical observations. Okay, so this PPT I have included because sometimes what happen, our experiment must be supported by the quantitatively. Okay, so again, if you read Internet of Medical Things, an application of Internet of Things is addressing countless limitation of traditional healthcare systems such as this. So first statement is the motivation. Okay, why the problem related to the Internet of Medical Things is important. Okay, why we are going to solve this problem. Okay, what is the utility of this problem? Okay, that must be the first statement. Okay, that attract the readers. Okay. Now, then the next line, with the use of IOMT system, there are unparalleled benefits that are enhancing the quality and efficiency of treatment and thereby the improving the patient health. The second statement is also related to the motivation. Okay, what is the use of this IOMT, which you are going to solve? And the issues with the IOMT is there are some cyber attacks is possible. How to prevent the cyber attacks for IOMT network? Okay. Now after motivation, here the researcher has also retained the some facts and figure, okay, existing. You see here, however, in 2018, ransomware cyber attacks on Indiana hospital system exposed the critical fault line among the IOMT environment. Now, maybe someone say, okay, why you are going to solve this cyber attack? Is there any cyber attacks happened in IOMT network? If it is happened, then you have to write. Okay, so this just attract the readers. Okay, oh, some real-time attacks are possible. Already happened. Okay, it means it is a challenging problem. We have to focus on that. Okay, now. Again, the gravity and frequency of cyber attack on expanding is expanding and alarming. Now, the author giving you some other interesting facts means the attack is the number of attack is growing. Okay, so as the user of the internet increases, this type of attack is also going to be complex, okay, and also is challenging in the future. Okay, so some motivation is provided by the researcher. Then it is written, motivated from the aforementioned challenges, we propose an ensemble learning and fog cloud architecture driven cyber attack detection framework. So after that, motivation and problem statement. So in the first 3 lines, 3 to 4 lines, they have discussed what is the motivation of problem, what is the problem statement, why that this problem is important for solving. Okay, and then they are going to discuss their own approach. So approach they have written. Then again, if it is possible, you have to describe your own approach, okay, in a So generally your approach should be written in 3 to 5 lines, okay, maximum. So ensemble design combine the decision tree, naive Bayes and random forest at first level, then next this. Then again, how they are evaluate the proposed model. If you are evaluating your proposed model by some existing supporting data, then you have to mention here, okay, like the most of the data set used by this, which one you have used. So like a ton IoT is used, okay, and how that data set is collected, if it is written. Then experiment in the last, you have to provide some facts and figure about your own observation, about your own experiment. Okay, so experiment results shows that the proposed framework can achieve detection rate of 99.98, accuracy 96.3%, okay, and can reduce the false alarm rate up to this. Okay, so these facts and figure, your descriptive approach, just try to attract the readers, okay, to okay. Now read the introduction. Okay, so this is the way of writing the title and abstract. Now the next is how to write the introduction. Is there any query in between? So next is the introduction. So, you know, introduction is just a broad description of the abstract. Okay, so the same sequence we have to use in writing the introduction, but in a paragraph manner. Like the first, you have to describe motivation in a one whole paragraph, and then next paragraph, the problem statement. Then next paragraph, what are the limitations, yeah, challenges in the existing literature, and then in the fourth paragraph, you have to write your own proposed idea, okay, with main contribution, and then you have to write, okay, what are the structure of your paper. Okay, so what is the answers provided by the introduction is what was I'm studying, okay, in this paper, okay, it should be there. Why was this an important question? The same as the motivation and problem statement. Okay, what did I know about this topic before I did this study? Means existing literature. You have to discuss precisely existing limitations, existing literature with their limitation. Okay, and then what model I'm testing, means your proposed approach. Okay, your proposed approach, and to which your idea you have to discuss. What approach did I take in this study? Okay, so these are the some questions need to be answered in writing the introduction. So so introduction is regarded as expanded version of abstract. In the same manner you have to use the first paragraph, you have to write the motivation, okay, then problem statement, then literature, brief review of the limitation of the literature, okay, then your proposed approach, main contributions, okay, and then structure. Okay, so there is some guideline of writing a good introduction. So the first is the introduction should present first with all possible clarity the nature and scope of problem investigated. For example, it should indicate why overall subject area of the research is important, means motivation. Okay. Now the next, it should briefly review the pertinent literature. Okay. So in the defining the next paragraph problem statement, you have to discuss what are the limitations of the existing approach. Okay. Although there are various solutions are given by the existing by the researcher in the literatures, okay, but these existing solutions having some challenges. Okay, you have to discuss that challenge, and then you have to write, okay, these are the still research gaps. Okay, and these research gaps I'm going to, this paper is going to address. Okay. Now, next is it should then make a clear objective of the research, means problem statement. After motivation and research gap, you have to discuss in some okay, then it should state the method of investigation, your approach, and then finally you have to write the some precisely result analysis. Okay. So what happened in the introduction? Introduction first makes a claim. Okay. So these are the some issues. These are the some research gaps. Okay. In the existing solutions. Okay. These need to be solved. Okay. Now that research gap you have to describe and also give your approach for solving with some evidence. How? By providing a brief description of the result. Okay, so generally what happened, the introduction represent the claim. Okay, a brief claim, okay, this is the problem, okay, these need to be solved, this solved by the this. Okay, but in a precise manner, in a 1 or 2 page introduction, maximum 2 page introduction are allowed. Okay, but the whole description of your approach is discussed in the proposed model. So proposed model give you the detailed evidence, okay, for proving the hypothesis written in the introduction. Okay, so generally introduction provide the claims, and these claims are proved by the evidence written in the body of the paper. Okay, that is the, so what kind of evidence you have to produce in the body of the paper, means your proposed idea and the result, analysis and comparison, the proposed description of the proposed model by the flow chart, algorithm, block diagram, framework, some theorems, okay, some quantitative analysis, okay, mathematical model analysis, measurement. By the case studies, you can verify the claim, okay, and all that. So for example, here this I have taken from my paper. Okay, the same. Okay, let me show the paper. So this paper. Okay, so after writing the keywords, title, abstract, you have to also write the keywords. So some generally keywords is taken from the titles as well as abstract, because these three things are generally used for the searching your articles. Okay, so mostly you have to include the keywords, descriptive keywords used in the title and abstract in the keyword section. Now in the introduction section, first paragraph should be related to your broad area. Okay, should be related to the system model in which the some issues you have taken. So here, if you see the title, excuse me, the broad area is the wireless sensor, your system. Okay, so in the first paragraph in the introduction, you have written what is the WSN, what are the issues with the WSN. So wireless sensor network is a distributed network which is emerged as a very popular technology for pervasive sensing and computation and all that. Now they have written some issues with the system. Okay, once this issue is discussed, then in the next paragraph you have to write the problem statement. So what is the problem? The problem is the designing the clustering and routing protocol. So if you see the second paragraph, it is written, clustering of sensor node is one of the most popular approach for energy efficient data collection from the WSN. Okay, means why this problems need to be solved. What is the use of this problem? Okay, and then in this approach, some sensors are grouped. What is the clustering you are going to discuss? Means in this paragraph, you are describing the problem. Okay, what is this clustering problem? What is the clustering? What is the routing? So sensor node are grouped into the several cluster, and each cluster has a coordinator node called the cluster, and the remaining node are the cluster. Okay, then this again. Now, if you see, after describing, you are writing why this problem is interesting. So here you have written, okay, in the clustering process, selection of optimal number of sensor node at cluster head that should be informally distributed over the area of interest is a very challenging problem. So why it is challenging problem? Since it is proved to be NP hard problem. Now you have refer the some research paper. The existing literature, they have also claimed, okay, this is the NP hard problem. Okay. Now, why it is NP hard problem? You have to also discuss. You should not include the abstract idea. You have to support your abstract idea with the facts and figure. So what are the facts? Due to the fact that there are NCM possible selection of M cluster head from N sensor node. Okay. So that's why the search space is very complex. So that's why it is NP hard problem. Okay. So for the large scale evaluation, computational complexity of this problem would be non-polynomial since brute force. So a facts is also given why this problem is challenging. Now after that, you are going to discuss the existing work. Okay, what kind of different approaches adopted by the researcher for solving the problem. Okay, so in the next third paragraph, the existing. Now, after that, since the approach adopted by writing the introduction is the structured one, always required. So here simply you can also write the contribution. What is the main contribution of this paper? Okay, so means what is the approach adopted by you? Okay, that is your contribution. Okay, so you can also make a separate section in the introduction. Okay, and then in a structured way, it is always advisable if you are targeting the journal paper, okay, use the bullets or numbering for writing the main contribution of the paper. Okay, and then in the last, you are just simply discussing the a summary how the whole paper is organized. Okay. Similarly, if you are going to take another approach, so sometimes what happens in a writing the structured introduction, you can also write the heading. Okay, what is the motivation of this research work? Okay, so because during the review of your paper, each reviewer is looking for what is the most motivation of the research work, what is the problem statement, and what is the main contribution of this paper. Okay, these three things is always looked by the editor as well as the reviewers. Okay. So you see, motivation, you can make a heading in the introduction. You can write all these are the key challenges of the problems. That is the motivation. Okay. They have also discussed some existing issues with the existing solutions. Then contribution. What is the main contribution of this paper? In a either you use the bullet point or numbering. It is must. Okay. And then this. Okay. So there are different way of writing the research paper. Okay. Sometimes you can use a different, like here it is written motivation and key challenges in the introduction. Okay. Then what is the key contribution of main contribution of the paper? Okay. So in the introduction, motivation, main contribution, and key challenges are required. Okay, and these gives you the claim of your hypothesis. Now, next is the related work. So, the starting point is a literature survey, and this play a very important role generally reviewers looking for this section, and they try to analyze, is thoroughly literature survey done by the researcher or not. So sometimes what happens, the new researcher just simply jump into the problem, solve it. They have not thoroughly reviewed the paper, and sometimes what happen, maybe the same solutions is proposed by the some other authors. Okay. So the benefit of doing the literature survey is not only to learn the existing ideas, also it gives you the support, okay, of not doing the same work that is already published by the some other authors. Okay. So honestly do the literature review. Okay. If it is interesting problem, go for the re-engineering. Okay. So that's why it is called the research. The problem which is already searched by the some other author, you have to research it. Okay. So don't be panic if someone has given the solutions. Okay, your duty is to research it. Okay, revalidate the claim by the authors. Okay. So why it is important? Because sometimes what happens, we are standing the soldiers of gains. Okay, means existing literature. Our claim of solving the problems is always supported by the existing solutions. Okay, so that's why most of the research work is inspired by the existing literature. Okay, so simply they have used the inheritance. Maybe some approach is adopted by the some other area. Researcher are getting that idea and adopted into the another idea, another area. Okay, so it's always always motivate your students and yourself to do honestly the literature's review. Okay, try to understand the existing literature and then formulate the problem. Now, in writing the related work, you have to describe the literature in a chronological order. Okay, so not only you are providing your solutions approach and problem, you are also providing a precise summary of the existing literature with your own observation. What are the limitation of the existing system? What are the research gap in the existing system? Okay, so during the writing the precise summary, you have to also write the some limitation of the existing work. Okay, so if you are targeting the high impact journals, uh, mostly reviewers have read the related work. Okay, why? They just want to know, okay, you have done the literature survey properly or not, and you have written some research gaps or not, because research gaps always give the direction to other research. Okay, so research gaps must be written in the related works, and also you have to include some comparative table of the existing solutions. Okay. Now, the things you have to avoid in the related work is, do not include the research paper that are not related to your problem statement. Sometimes what happens, in order to enhance the citations, okay, of your own or some other fellow researcher, you are just going to include their work in your research paper. Okay, that is not a good practice, and most of the reputed journals are looking for the quality of research paper you have included in your related work. Okay, in decisions, okay, of selecting your paper or not. Okay, so always try to uh, read the good risk journals paper, high impact journal papers. Okay, and properly discuss in a chronological order. Now, the next is the next is the how to write our proposed idea. Okay, because this your proposed idea is going to be re-engineered, yeah, reproduced by the some other researcher. So you have to write in a very structured manner, and you need not to hide some facts and figure. If there is some limitations, so sometimes what happens, the proposed idea perform better in a particular scenario, but in another scenario it is not perform better. So you have to discuss these things. Okay, these in scenario our proposed idea perform better. So during the experiment we have observed that this proposed idea perform better during this scenario, yeah, by using this parameter. But if parameter is this, yeah, scenario is this, then our uh, work is not perform better. So the limitation of your own work is also should be written. Okay, and your description of the proposed idea should be written in the past tense or present perfect tense. Okay, both are, because you have already done the experiment. Okay, and you can also use the present indefinite if it is, because it is always true if it is observed by your experiment or supported by your own experiment. Now, one other important thing is it should be in a structured manner. It should be included, supported by some block diagram. It should be included by some flow chart, algorithm. Okay, so that any some data. Okay, what attributes of the data. Okay, so all the facts and figure which are required by the researcher to reproduce your idea, okay, by them, are need to be included in this section. Okay. So these are some key points. Methods section should be written in a simple and vivid manner, avoiding the repetition and unrelated information. Only you have to include the related information, okay, of your proposed idea. The design of a study has to be mentioned at the commencement of the method section. Description of your system, how the participants were selected for the study has to be stated. Clear research protocols, okay, facts and figure, statistical analysis, how your data is collected, in what environment you have collected. All these, okay, need to be reported in the main work, yeah, in your proposed idea section. So result, again, uh, result part is having both descriptive analysis and textual analysis. So your results should be supported by the some argument why the result is performing better, yeah, why your claim of hypothesis is performing in that scenario better, what is the fact, what are the reasons, okay, that should be included. So sometimes what happens, simply the researcher has just discussed, okay, our system is performing better, this is the quantitative analysis, but they are not going to discuss the reason. Okay, and that is the main reason the reviewers has rejected the in Q1 rank journals. The Q1 rank journals also looking for your own opinion, okay, about your observation of your proposed idea. Okay, so what is your opinion? Why the system is performing better? Yeah, why system is not performing better in that particular scenario? Okay, the reason you have to write. Okay, what property of the proposed model gives the better solutions? Okay, you have to discuss in the result, and also results should be described with the uh, uh, thoroughly result analysis. Okay, and also include the definition of the performance metrics. What are the metrics you have used for the comparison purpose? Okay, and also you have to include a table. Okay, and in that table you have to summarize the parameters, some standard parameter if you have taken during the experiment, some initial parameter, what are the parameter list, what is its range, Okay, you have to write, because the sole purpose is, if someone wants to reproduce your idea in his lab or in his experiment, he or she can able to do it. Okay, so it should be supported by the text also in the table, figures. Okay, the description of the figures and tables should be written with the regions also. Okay, so similarly, the discussion, what is your observation about the experiment? You have to discuss in the discussion, and also you have to discuss some set of future challenges or some future enhancement. Okay, if you want to, if you have any idea, you can discuss it. So since time is going already 11:30, so you can also acknowledge your lab, okay, some supporting staff. Okay, if you are getting a grant from the some research agency, you have to acknowledge it, okay, in the acknowledgement section. Okay, the referencing of, the existing literature should be properly referenced in your paper. Okay, and sometimes what happen, if you have borrowed some idea from the existing literature, okay, you have to properly cite in your research paper. Okay, so in this way your research paper is interlinked with the existing literature, and it gives the uh, path to the new researcher or other researcher to correlate your solutions with the existing solutions. So you should be included if you have inspired by the some other research, existing literature or related work, you have to include it in your uh, research paper. So that's all for today. These are the book. If you want to read, there is a very famous book, How to Write and Publish Scientific Paper by the Robert Day. You can read it. There are some other tools are available, okay, for the preparation of this research, this presentation. So thank you. If you have any questions in this query, you can ask. Yes.
Requesting the participants, if they have any queries, they can directly shoot their questions by unmuting themselves, or they can even drop their queries in the chat box.
Yes.
Once again, I repeat, if any participants have any queries themselves, they can directly unmute themselves and ask their queries, or they can even post it in the chat box. So I think the participants don't have any queries.
Okay. Thanks for listening me. Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. You were saying something.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any query? What should be the length of good paper? Uh, when you are going to prepare the uh, research article, you have also target the journals. Okay, so every journals has its own limitations. Like the Elsewhere and the Springer journals, there is a not a around 20 paper or 25 length paper can be accepted. But in IEEE transactions, like uh, mostly 10 page or 8 page paper are free. Beyond that, you have to pay the extra page charges. Okay. So generally in the engineering stream, 10 to 12 page paper is sufficient. But it totally depends upon the journals. Okay. So just like the ACM transaction, there are many journals, they look for the very detailed mathematical modeling. So 35 to 40 page journal paper is also publishable. So just go through the journals, requirement journals, your targeted journals, okay, and they give you the clue, okay, the length, and also depend upon your problem, okay. Yes, any other? So no query. So thank you again. So I'm signing off.
Thank you so much, sir, for conducting this session. We are pleased to have you here. Today, the whole team of LCIT, AICT, and CSVTU is thankful for conducting this session on behalf of us. It was a very interactive session that because you gave us a very live and practical glimpses of how to go about when it comes to writing a research paper. Thank you so much, sir, once again. It was a pleasure having you here today. So I would
Okay.
request you one day if you can share us the presentation so we can share it with our participants. Requesting the participants, the quiz link and the feedback link is shared in the chat box. If you can fill in both the forms.